Alright, Aloha DOB fam, it's back at the grind here at Raiders headquarters at the Intermountain Healthcare Performance Facility here in lovely Henderson, Nevada. I'm just gonna go start with the Aloha Kickoff question, and it was asked to me of Devin. He had a question in regards to Tyree Gillespie getting traded and to the Tennessee Titans. And if you guys don't know the news yet, obviously it's not official, but it's unofficially official. I didn't get the report yet. I didn't get the email on that yet, but it's been reported by Aaron Wilson, who's a very, very trusted, credible source. So I'm going to take his word for it. There's a reason why he's an insider, right? I'm going to go ahead and talk about that transaction, what it means for the team moving forward, and how it's going to affect the team in the upcoming draft. Well, let's break it down. Tyree Gillespie is a 2021 holdover from the last regime, right? Anytime you're from a previous regime, you can be on the outside looking in because the new guy in town, GM Dave Ziegler, head coach Josh McDaniels, may want to go in a different direction, right? And so there's a reason why they declined all their first round picks, fifth year options, because they weren't their picks. It wasn't their guys. Not saying that they can't return, not saying they won't return. I'm just saying you got to look at it for what it is. Tyree Gillespie on the outside looking in got traded for an additional late round pick. If it was my guess, I'm going to go ahead and with this type of a trade, with this type of deal with the fourth round pick who's still young and still on a rookie deal, I'm thinking it's going to be a conditional fifth round pick. So I'm just going to go out, put my analysis out there, seeing these transactions for, I don't know, 15 years now, 15 plus years. I'm going to say it's going to be a fifth round pick. Now don't quote me on that because that's just a prediction. It's just a beast receipt. So keep the receipt though. Keep the receipt though as I drink my Starbucks coffee. It's 2 shots of espresso. Look at this order. It's ridiculous. 2 shots of espresso, extra caramel drizzle, ribbon crunch inside the blend, and then also ribbon crunch on top, and then also extra almond milk gains inside because I'm lactose intolerant. Getting back to Tyree Gillespie, yeah, he's traded to the Titans. Now, what Tyree Gillespie brings to the Titans is, again, you have to know the dynamics of what the Tennessee Titans are trying to do with John Robinson and the identity they're trying to build over there. Now, I ran grades on the Tennessee Titans. They have a strong defensive core, right? They brought in Bud Dupree from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, some can say he fell off because he didn't have TJ Watt on the other side. But the guy's still a pass rush specialist, right? The guy can still get after the quarterback. And my grading system was playing at an all-pro level while in Pittsburgh, kind of slacked off in Tennessee, had some injuries, but the dude's still good, all right? And then you take a look at guys like Harold Landry, about Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, I talked about this guy, he tore his ACL. In any other given draft, he would have been a top 10 pick. However, he wasn't because he tore his ACL. And I said, this guy's going to be really good. Check the beast receipts. Really good, I mean, all pro level. So he's one of the most underrated players on the interior defensive line in the entire NFL. I don't know why more people don't give him more credit because he's not a household name or whatever. But the guy is a beast. Jeffrey Simmons is just a beast, so he's just built different. And so when you take that into account and then you look at what they're trying to do on the back end, because that's really where they need help, right? And they have Kevin Byard, really good free safety. So Tyree Gillespie kind of working with Kevin Byard back there on the back end, how is that going to shape up? You have, if I'm not mistaken, I'm doing this off the top of my head, but they have a few players on the backside there. Obviously, they drafted Caleb Farley. I think it was 2 drafts ago, right? So 2 drafts ago, they drafted Caleb Farley, who also was coming off an injury or had some health issues, some health concerns there. But he was a first-round pick that they took a flyer on, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, coming out of Virginia Tech, right? So all these guys, just speaking of Virginia Tech, they had some great ballers. Didn't D'Angelo Hall come out of Virginia Tech? Anyways, Anthony Midget, Virginia Tech, right? But anyways, Tyree Gillespie, 4th round pick, number 143 overall, out of Missouri, has I shouldn't say great instincts. He has solid instincts. He does everything good, but nothing great. Like, he's not going to be a ball hawking safety. And I think if you're going to play the safety position in today's NFL, you have to be able to get turnovers and create turnovers, and that comes down to playing from the hashes to the numbers or being the middle of the field safety. Right? We all know that he can come up and show fight and run support, but at the end of the day, it's like you have to be able to do both. Just don't be in position, just don't be around the ball, but actually make a play on the football And I'm not talking about PBUs, I'm talking about INTs. And so I talked about this earlier on with Randy Miller, my guy, 2000 GM of the year, the New Orleans Saints, excuse me, and also with the Miami Dolphins, and worked with a lot of different great people over the years. And so we talked about the traditional box safety as opposed to today's safety, right? It's a lot different because the game has changed and evolved, right? Like you cannot go into a game plan thinking you can play like the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Raiders did in the 70s. It's just not going to work. You can't just ground and pound your way through and then throw it like 15 times a game. That's just not. It's the opposite, actually, right? So that's why you really have to look at the dynamics of each transaction, right? And so that's what I like to do. I like to cover all 32 teams because, again, there's no drop-off in production when I talk about a team. If we talk about, for instance, who they have coming up, the Miami Dolphins, right? Or XYZ team, right? Whatever team it is. We can talk about any freaking team, and really there's going to be no drop off in production from my perspective because I run grades on all these players. Roquan Smith, he'd be a perfect fit here in Las Vegas, but financially with $22.3 million in cap space, is the need a pressing need over offensive line? I would say no. So you're going to have to prioritize, right? And so we talk about the horizontal versus the vertical board, the valuation versus evaluation process when it comes to evaluating a player, as opposed to valuation of what it's going to take to get that player, right? And so same things apply, and different parameters apply, different layers of the onion to get to the core. When I talk about personnel, talk about the rookie draft class that's coming in, how that's going to be a fit, what kind of veterans should we bring in to kind of help these guys and ease the transition, because coaches are one thing, but hearing it from a player who's done it at the highest level, we saw Neil Farrell talk about, hey, my man Andre Carter, right, good friend of mine, spitting out facts, 100 plus sacks, Pro Bowl player, dad's a legacy, right? So Bay Area product. So I'm just gonna say, man, like, you have to take it with a grain of salt if you're just gonna look at it on the surface, but if you go and dig down deeper as to why these transactions and why these moves are being made, it makes more sense. If you notice in my draft grades, who did GM Dave Ziegler freaking just, I don't know how he did it. He did it twice. He did it twice in this draft. It was in my grading system. Posted it up on my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. They just played the Minnesota Vikings, right? I don't want to pronounce his last name because I'm going to butcher it, but Mensa, right? Adolphe Mensa, right? I believe that's his last name. Okay, I don't want to butcher it. Apologize. Fleeced him twice, in my opinion. Twice, and still got the players that he wanted in a trade down. So again, you look at the cluster of players that would be realistically available in the cluster, and then you can either move up or maneuver down the draft board how you see fit and still get draft capital that you need for future years. So now you're mortgaging your future and adding kind of an insurance policy or security blanket in place. Go look at what they did with the Minnesota. I'm telling you, they did really, really good job. And so now you add another draft pick on Tyree Gillespie. Now you can move her on day 2 or day 3, right? Because I think, like I said, I already predicted it's going to be a conditional 5th round pick. It's not reported, but that's what I'm saying. All right, so again, there's a lot of different movements as opposed to like why a GM would make this power play move. And to some, it's like, oh man, like what are we doing? It's like, man, have you seen Matthias Farley? That guy's pretty good. How about Quintero, right? That guy comes from basketball background. He's good at high pointing the football. I see it in practice. He's one of the most naturally athletically gifted players on the back end. So you have safeties who can kind of not replicate that type of production, but kind of ease the production in terms of like what they're trying to do. So with that being said, I'm looking forward to what GM Dave Ziegler has in store moving forward. Question was asked, are they going to go ahead and shape up the offensive line? I'm not so sure yet, but what I do know is things are in the process, and as I run my grades, the offensive line needs help. Like, I think that's kind of like a no-brainer question. It's just a matter of which kind of combination of formulating the best 5 that we talked about that Dave Ziegler is going to go in. All right, well, that'll be it for this morning. I'm going to be posting videos up on YouTube, so follow me on YouTube. That's the #1 social media outlet that I'm going to be posting on that platform all day, every day, first and foremost. Take care for now. BEASTwriter, out.